most of them tell you what, I'm going to go to the
One, two. One, two. Welcome to the peoples. There's so many people. We're here to show the system of pain. We're here to show that we have the bloody power. And we can do anything.
still on the bridge over there. And down Westminster. On the bank.
There he is.
Aspects of these political groups, various so-called revolutionary Marxist groups, and I say that as a revolutionary Marxist, is they seem to think that by having loads of placards that say the same thing, giving them all out at the beginning of a demo, makes some sort of impression. I think it looks very contrived, but it's just my point of view. I don't think it's particularly impressive to have loads of people carrying the same placard. Unless it really springs from them, you know. Is it really springing from them? Maybe they want to get it on the television or in a photograph of a newspaper or something. But otherwise, I don't see much point. You know, far better to encourage people to write their own placards. You know, one of the things about the anti-lockdown protest was people did make their own placards, you know, with something they felt, you know, something they thought was important. Towards the end of the demonstration here. Rough guess. Well, let's have your guesses how many people that is. I think that's 15 to 20,000. I think that's 15 to 20,000. They'll be able to argue that there's less people because the train strike was on, which is perfectly true. So this is mainly a London demo, a few surrounding areas. This is the Labour Party group, not very big. Look, Labour Party group, they've got like Jeremy Corbyn's one Hackney North, and that's it. So the Labour Party hasn't even turned up at all. Even with that connection that they had before, so that's interesting. They've not been able to mobilise any Labour Party groups except Jeremy Corbyn's and Hackney North. I mean, there will be individual Labour Party members here, but not to be able to organise like a base like that is quite significant. So that's it. So you've got speeches in Trafalgar Square and so on. A bit later on. Yeah, that's streaming better now, isn't it? Freeze rents, yeah, that's fair enough. Now the madness is the groups who organise these protests, so People's Assembly and Stop the War Coalition in particular, are notorious for certain supporters in their group, and from that base of supporters with a bit of finance and branches, that's, but it is a very top-down thing. A couple of John Reed, Lindsay German, his partner, they try to sort of run these campaigns. They seem to think they got a monopoly on truth, and they do certainly get a monopoly on control of speech. So because the demonstrations always march from A to B, so they'll start up, let's say, like Embankment now. Now they're wandering around here across Westminster. To be honest with you, for no reason whatsoever, I did write to their Twitter account the other day and say, what on earth are you marching on this route for? Because it's totally useless. You're marching just to have people march. No one's going to see it, apart from a few tourists around the area, or whoever might see it on telly, and the telly probably won't cover it. And they march off. They're going around here in a circle, around over Westminster Bridge, then along to Lambeth Bridge, and then they're going to come across Lambeth Bridge, which is the next bridge just down there, and then march back around Parliament and up to Trafalgar Square. I mean, it's like, the Duke of York. Unfortunately, these groups really do treat the supporters as sort of Duke of York style, call them out, march them around the corner, and then have speeches, and the platform's always controlled by them. So I can, you can almost list weekly who the people will be. It might be a few Labour MPs, the sort of lefties, Jeremy Corbyn over there, for example. Marching behind his Labour Party banner. So no doubt he'll be speaking. Lindsay and John Rees will be speaking. Someone from Black Lives Matter, someone from XR. Note this, not a single person is mentioning the great issue of our time of the last couple of years, of course, which is the lockdowns and the pharmaceutical tyranny imposed on the world, and that's not even featuring on one placard here that I've seen. So there's a huge disjoint between the anti-lockdown movement and this sort of active layer of the so-called left, who almost to a man, I mean, they cut me off, they unfriended me and all this sort of thing, almost to a man, they took the side of the farmer tyranny. I think they did it with the idea that this was some act of social solidarity, the sort of thing, wear a mask, protect the NHS, and the NHS became the sacred cow, which was used to justify supporting tyranny. But I must say, I'm encountering more and more people who, once you ask them 3 times something about the pandemic, they might sort of condemn those who they think are or they called plague rats a few months ago. Now they're a little bit more sceptical, I think. So there is a shift, but obviously for those who began to understand this 2.5 or 2 years ago or a year ago or whatever, it's rather disappointing, isn't it, that you don't have the working class movement as a whole fighting the tyranny that has taken over the world. So, okay, so look, it's across Lambeth Bridge here. No, it's across the Westminster Bridge here, the protest, right? That's the end of it. And it's going down by Lambeth Palace, St Thomas's Hospital, and then it's getting to Lambeth Bridge. So that's exactly how long it is. You see, it's from here down to Lambeth Bridge. That's it. That's why I say, well, 10 to 20,000 on my guess from years of being on demos. Okay, to be honest with you, listen, I did actually expect more people to attend this today, but it seems to be a lot lower than you might have thought. I think I'll call it a day because there's not much point in covering these the speeches and stuff like that. You'll get that on sort of their own channels. You don't need us to all these things. They're making speeches which are quite standardised. Although I'm sure some of the trade unions will make good speeches about cost of living crisis and stuff like that. Okay, signing off.